Jeans are one of the hardest working garments in our wardrobes. Unfortunately, nowadays they are so easy to replace or simply toss out if they don't fit right anymore or they get a rip. And that is why today I am going to show you a few fabulous ways to repair and make your jeans fit better once again so you can continue loving them in your wardrobe. I'm Refashionista Sheri, and I show you how to use what you have to make what you want. So let's get making. If worn out thighs are about to send your favorite jeans to the rag pile, here's my quick fix. Okay, so first I have them inside out, of course. Then I just grabbed those iron-on patches, and these were less than $1, so that's just awesome. Yeah, and this one actually, no, that's not going to be big enough. Okay, let's grab out another one. So I think I'm really just gonna use them at the size that they are. You can, of course, cut them to whatever size you need, but that's just about perfect there. So now I'm just gonna go iron these on. So I have my trusty iron all heated up here. I'm just gonna place my patch over the area that needs it, and of course, iron it on. You really want to make sure you get all of the edges and corners really ironed on very well, because those are the places where they will start to lift pretty immediately if they're not properly stuck down. Now, of course, because these are iron-on patches, you could just leave it there and be done, and it's a really quick and easy no-sew fix. But I either hand stitch around them, or I do machine stitching and my doodle stitching, where that's just me going back and forth and up and down and all over the place over top of the patches to make sure they are super secure. So here is the finished product on the inside, and yes, I know it doesn't look super pretty and everything, but come on, look where it is. It's the inside. I don't really care. It gets the job done, and that's what's important. And let's flip them right side out. Now, I think I actually did an excellent job with color matching the thread to this specific kind of light blue area on my jeans here. And again, it might not look the greatest up close, but you know what? This area is like concealed in between my thighs here when I'm wearing my jeans. So unless someone is, you know, really well known to me, I don't think they will be in that area when I'm wearing my jeans. At least I really, really hope not. And so again, this is just another case of, you know, when you are mending or refashioning, the finished product does not have to look perfect by any means. If you're happy with it, that is what is important. Next up, let's repair one of the most common yet frustrating jean failures. Alrighty, so the first thing we want to do is, of course, get this kind of hanging end of the belt loop off. Now, you can just simply chop that with your scissors, chop off this part where it is still attached, but I like to use my super sharp X-Acto knife here and really get through the threads that are still holding it on. It's just easier to do it this way because then I don't have to worry about trying to pick them all off when I just, you know, chop it with my scissors. Now, because this is starting to fray here, just gonna carefully chop off those little frayed bits. So now that I have my little hole all cleaned up, I have flipped that chopped belt loop up here so it's not going to interfere, and got one of my little patches. And the groovy thing about these is, of course, you can just cut them to whatever size that you need. And I have my iron all heated up and ready to go. So now this step isn't super entirely necessary, but I always like to do a kind of doodle stitch back and forth and back and forth and back and forth over top of the patch just to make sure it is extra super secure. So now the patch is really stitched on there well, and I have the added bonus of having the former hole all filled in with these back and forth stitches as well. And now it is time to stitch those belt loops back in place. Because I do not have a big industrial machine that can handle stitching this very thick denim, I am doing it by hand, and you can do this successfully. You just need a thimble to help push the needle through, or use my preference, a pair of pliers. I find that pliers really give me that, grip on the needle that I need to really push it all the way through. And then once it's on the other side, I can grab it again and pull it. So I have my different method of pulling needles and pushing needles through thick fabrics. And really, the pliers work fantastic. But if all you have is a thimble, then go ahead and use that. You just put it on your finger and really, really use it to push and shove that needle through the thick fabric. And it is all done and mended, and I now have functioning, sturdy belt loops once again on both sides here. So that is fantastic. They're not going to go anywhere. And yeah, now I'm going to go wear my jeans. What do you do when your zipper pull jumps off one side of the tracks? This. All you need are your scissors and your hand sewing gear, and there is my little needle holder stuffy here. And I actually think I might have already pre-threaded the actual thread I need, which is great. And I want to know, as always, does anyone else do this? If you don't use all of your thread and there is definitely enough to tie a knot in the end, do you just kind of pop it into your little pin cushion so you can use it again? Because the zipper just jumped the one side of the track, not both sides, I'm pretty sure that I can get it back on, but it's going to take a little bit of snipping and a little bit of stitching. So I want to put this, as the zipper I'm talking about, as low down as I possibly can. And I think about there is going to do it. Now I'm just going to push it up. Okay, so let's do about there. I'm just going to cut the actual zip here right in between these teeth to open it. There we go, to open it up. Okay, so you see how it's opened here? Can we get close enough? You see, I split it right there. Now I'm going to bring my zipper back down, and look at that. I didn't even have to mark it. I just did it in the right spot. I mean, I could have gone even lower, but you go lower than I did, okay? Anyway, so now hopefully I can just slip my zip on. Look at that. Look at that. Look, I did it. It worked. Okay, now clearly this is split here, right? This is totally split here. So I am going to have to grab my needle and thread, and I'm just going to stitch all around this area here to create a new zipper stopper. I did it again, and this time I used my Refashionista pink, but you can see here where the darker thread was originally, and then I just moved that down just in case this busts through. So now you can see much better, I hope, how that is done, and do it yourself very, very easily. I think I want to do one final, look at that, and look, zipper stopper working, one final security measure here, and I'm just going to grab some needle nose pliers and give it a pinch there, because I think that might help to stop this from happening again. I truly don't know, but I mean, it can't hurt, right? It's not hurting anything to give it a good old pinch down. Here's a quick fix if your jeans fit everywhere except the waist. So I now have my trousers inside out, laying on my nice flat table, and I have my measure. And I think I'm just going to start with 2 centimeters on each side, and if I need to take in more, then I can. So I'm just going to measure from one side of the trousers in 2 centimeters, put a little mark with my lovely vintage chalk marker, and because it has these fake pockets, I'm actually gonna use this rivet here as my kind of stopping area, and I'm just going to mark it going down at an angle towards this fake pocket rivet. Okay, and then all I have to do is stitch the front and the back together following my little angle line here, and then repeat it on the other side of the trouser waist. And look, it actually worked. It is nice and smooth and flat, and I do not have nearly the amount of gaping and gapping at the back here, and again, they're not falling down anymore. That's the most important thing. Take in your gaping waistband with a bit of elastic and no sewing machine needed. So your first step is to simply put a mark a few centimeters on either side of the center of the waistband. Then, using those marks as a guide, grab your cutting tool or your scissors and cut a small opening through just the interior layer of fabric on that waistband. Once you have your openings cut on either side, go ahead, put a safety pin in the end of your elastic and feed it on through. Then once your elastic is all the way through, you want it to be pulled through tight enough that it's gathering that up, but still loose enough that there's enough stretch that you can still get the pants on. Then all you have to do is pin the elastic in place so it doesn't snap back. Then go ahead and trim it, tuck it in a little bit, fold in the raw edges, and stitch everything together to hold it in place. Once you have one side done, go ahead and repeat the whole process on the other side, and then enjoy your fancy new, better fitting waistband. And finally, if your jeans have gotten uncomfortably tight, here's a quick way to make them fit you comfortably again using another pair of jeans you never wear. The first thing I have done is I turned my 2 small jeans inside out, and I'm simply going to chop out the thick side seam that is on the outer side of the jeans. Okay, so you can see here it is completely chopped through all the way from the bottom hem all the way up to the top. Of course, I did leave the inseam as it was because we're just adding panels to the sides here. So now let's go see how we're going to do that. Okay, so a really simple way to figure out the basic size of side panel inserts that you'll need is to simply grab a pair of trousers or jeans from your closet that have the same basic shape as the ones you're upsizing, put the 2 small ones on top of it, and then you can eyeball it or use a proper measure to measure the size of insert you will need, and then add a couple of centimeters for seam allowance and chop them out and stitch them on. I'm going to try a slightly different method today though, because I really want to get an idea of what it would look like to try to keep some pockets. Okay, so this is super hilarious. You can see here that I kind of just tied the jeans around my body because they have no sides, so they're clearly not going to stay up, right? So, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can kind of measure here from the back to the start here. And that's like 17 centimeters. That's a lot of side panel. Okay, but it's okay. It's okay. So I think, yeah, let's go 17, 18 centimeters is what I'm going to need to fill the sides here. So I think the easiest way to do this is I'm just gonna chop straight down from the top, cutting out a generous amount around the pocket area here, all the way down through to the bottom hem. So basically all I did was chop out the back of the legs from the waistband all the way through to the bottom hem. And as you can see, they definitely need to be measured and cut properly. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, now it's time to add our side panels, but first I want to kind of just make sure that the pockets are where they're supposed to be, because when I cut out the side seams, I cut the pockets as well. So I think that looks about right. I'm just gonna pin that in place until I get my side panels, and then all those pins will hold it properly, I hope. And now I have grabbed a side panel here, and let's just make sure it's going to be okay. Yes, it is, because it does have a little bit of a curve back here, because the back pockets were, of course, on the bottom side. So I want the curved side to be on the same side as the back pockets of my two small jeans. And I really hope that makes sense. But very first thing we're going to do here is line up the waistbands and those chopped side seams of both of these, and then I'm gonna pin it and then go stitch it all together, and then we'll come back and figure out how we're gonna do the other side. It worked, and it looks great. I mean, not super great on the inside, but I don't care. It's on the inside, right? Who cares? But on the outside, I think, look, I managed to get that matched up pretty good, but I did have to kind of loosen and half remove the belt loop here, so I'm going to hand stitch that on later. But other than that, that looks fantastic. And so now I'm going to fold this here to the back side that has been chopped, and then go stitch that all the way down and repeat the whole process on the other side of the jeans with the other insert. Okay, these are done and they look fantastic. And I actually, right, I have to go stitch this one back on, as I said, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of hand stitching here just on the inside of the waistband just to hold down these thicker seams. But other than that, these look so cool. I hope these simple repairs and refashions have inspired you to rescue your jeans instead of replacing them. And as always, I want to know which one you're actually going to use right away. Plus, be sure to let me know any kind of wardrobe rescuing type of tutorials you would love to see in the future, and they just might appear in an upcoming tutorial video, or better yet, maybe I've already covered it and I can drop the link to you so you can go use the tutorial right away. And as always, if you want to keep using what you have to make what you want, subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. Plus, join my wardrobe revolution at refashionistasherry.com. And perhaps you want to come behind the scenes with me and see how all of this refashionista empire works, plus get access to my sustainable style workshop, which is members only. And to do that, you just got to hit join and join my refashionista crew. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag. And stick around for the bloopers coming up right now. 1, 2, 3. I hope these simple refashions, nope. I'm a refashionista Sheri, and I show you how to use what you have to make what you want. So what the hell is that? What is that? What?
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.